Hey, this is Jeff Bagwell with Rural Metro Fire Department, and we're on a remote location today with Tennessee Fireplace and Chimney, and we are observing them clean and maintenance chimneys. Very important this time of year to have that done for homeowners, to have that done professionally. That's the ideal way to do it. So that way they can be ensured that it's safe, that the creosote buildup is not such to where it's going to produce a chimney fire and potentially burn their house down or even catch the property around the house on fire. So we're going to be going in and checking on them and seeing what they're doing. They're working really hard. They're doing good. We're going to get this thing cleaned up.
Hi there, I'm Jacob with Tennessee Fireplace and Chimney, and we are here today to just do an annual inspection and cleaning on the chimney. We're going to look at getting this thing ready to use for the winter. A few things we want to start with is cleaning out the flue system. That'll allow us to then send the camera through to look for any defects or hazards within the chimney, just to prevent things like flue fires, poor performance, bad odors in the home. The whole process should take about an hour to an hour and a half, at the end of which we will have a digital report with all the findings in it. So there are a few things homeowners can expect to do to cut down on risk with the fireplace, things that you don't have to have a professional do. Things like storing your wood properly, making sure they're not getting wet throughout the year, they're up off the ground, they're covered. When it comes to the firebox here, if you've got an excessive amount of ash or any debris you need to get out, make sure to store that in a metal bucket, something that's heat resistant, something you know can withhold all that stuff. At that certain point, it's probably good to have a professional come in to take the rest of the work from there, clean it, scan it, and then we take the rest of the responsibility for that. So that's where we kind of step in, and that's where the line is for sort of the homeowner to get involved in some of this stuff. So there's certain things you can do on your end, but we take it from there. So there's a few things that homeowners want to be aware of and to keep an eye out for. Things like odors in the home from the fireplace. It's never normal to smell a burnt or creosote odor in the home. If that is something that's an ongoing issue every season, you certainly need to have the chimney professionally inspected, cleaned to see the source of that odor. A lot of that stuff, especially wood burning byproducts and creosote, there are carcinogenic elements in that stuff. So one, we want to clean it out, and two, we want to make sure your family's not breathing that stuff in. Another thing homeowners want to be aware of is if you ever feel cold air coming from the actual fireplace, that's not normal. There's a pressure stack in the house it's a delicate balance. So if we do see that there's something in the home pulling air from the chimney, we certainly need to address that before you start trying to use that actual fireplace, because that could then turn into smoke rolling into the home. We certainly don't want to have that. So obviously, things to look out for if you have any of those issues ongoing in the fireplace or in your home, we need to come in and fully inspect and evaluate the whole system and not just try and treat any symptoms, but fix the root of the problem. We're gonna achieve something like that by scanning the whole system with a camera. So we're going to perform the camera inspection now of the flue system. So we're going to send our camera through. It's first going to enter into the smoke chamber. So that's what we're going to see now. And we're just going to pay attention to our monitor here, and then we'll get a 360 view of this whole space by rotating this lens on the camera. So we're going to look closely at this area because this is going to get the hottest out of the whole chimney. It's right above the flames. We want to check for any construction defects, any signs of water intrusion into the chimney, and more importantly, we want to make sure there's no creosote storage hidden away in here, right? Because that stuff's combustible. It's like little pockets of fuel. We want to make sure that stuff's got all removed, make sure we clean all that out. And what we're kind of seeing here is some cored brick in this smoke chamber. Essentially, this smoke chamber is like a big upside down funnel of brick that sort of staircases down. And this one is partially incomplete. So ideally, you know, in new construction, you would more likely see them stucco this whole area smooth like a big funnel. Instead, we've got more of a staircase with a lot of little voids and holes with the cores in these brick. So it may be really turbulent when we're burning that fire. That smoke's it's not gonna have an easy path to draw up and into the flue system. So this could be the start of a lot of performance problems. It could have a lot of trouble getting the smoke to draw up and out of the chimney. It may start spilling into the room. That's a common symptom for this kind of problem. So if we go up a little, and especially here, we can see a lot of these hard angles and voids where some of the mortar actually fell out. And now we're left with these little cavities here. Any little area like this is going to contribute to poor performance in the fireplace. These are places where air can escape, or it can actually come in from the outside, since we do have an exterior chimney here. It does look pretty clean for the most part, so that's good. Now you can see the smoke chamber is very tall. The actual building code for this would be a smoke chamber that doesn't exceed in height what the width of our fireplace opening is. And this width, I believe, is somewhere around 35 inches. So I think we've well exceeded that, and we're still going with the smoke chamber. So it's a little taller than what it should be. Again, those are all things that are going to relate to the way this fireplace performs. So if our proportions are off a little bit, that can also slow the rise of that smoke down a little bit. So now we're going to see our flue system starts. This is where our clay tile is cemented onto the smoke chamber, and it's going to start rising. They're 2-foot tall sections of tile, and they're like almost big clay flower pots. So the same kind of erosion and missing mortar that we saw in the smoke chamber is likely to be in the flue system as well. So every 2 feet we're going to check and see if the mortar's intact. So if we go up a little bit, we come to our first mortar joint. We can see it's very clean, but in fact there's virtually no mortar left between these tiles. So an area like this seems insignificant as an opening, but if we use the fireplace, those tiles are going to get hot and they're going to expand. So an opening this small, like an 1/8 inch, can open up quite a bit. That's another place where we can have smoke and carbon monoxide and flue gases escaping out of that. Further putting us at risk for a flue fire, putting us at risk to have creosote storing up in places that we as the technicians can't come in and clean it out of. So we don't want that stuff storing up in hidden compartments in the chimney. Very little mortar left in this flue system. So this is probably something that we would then want to investigate a little bit on the roof line to see if there is still an active source of water intrusion in this chimney, because as clean as this flue tile is, a lot of this erosion must have happened from water. We should be nearing the top of this chimney now. Here's another mortar joint here. Let me check this. This one's a little more intact. You can see there are large chunks that are missing still. Again, here's a few signs of water erosion. Looks like some calcium buildup or efflorescence. And now we have arrived at the top of the chimney and we are inside this flue cap. So we see the cap's free of any obstructions, which is good. There's no debris, nice and clean. And we do have screen or mesh built in that's going to keep out any birds or intruders. So that is good. So some of the differences between burning gas, like propane and natural gas, and burning wood, there's actually a lot of similarities. We need to clean both of the flue systems. They're both going to contribute to creosote buildup, even gas logs. So we want to inspect those flue systems, we want to clean that stuff out. But with gas, we also want to do diagnostic checks. We want to check for any leaks in the line. We want to check the manifold pressure, make sure all the pilot assembly and everything is operating safely and like it was designed to. So that is something you would get from one of our gas inspection services. So a little more information for some of the homeowners who are kind of do-it-yourselfers. So there's good ways to go about that and bad ways. One question I get all the time is, what are your thoughts on creosote removal logs? And certainly they're not that bad, but nothing's going to replace actually cleaning the chimney. They can do more harm than good though, some of those creosote removal logs. They can give you a false sense of security that you've replaced actually cleaning the chimney, where it's similar to chewing a piece of gum in replacement for brushing your teeth. You know, nothing's going to replace actually removing that creosote from the chimney. What those logs try to intend to do is they release minerals that are trying to dry out the creosote so it drops. But unless your chimney is a straight shot, that creosote's not going to drop all the way into the fireplace where you can remove it. It'll probably get stuck and lodged somewhere in the chimney you can't see. So that's where the camera comes in. I can come in and find those places where the creosote's stored, safely remove it, and remove that possibility of that creosote igniting and causing a flue fire, because that stuff is very combustible. Other things like customers, you know, acquiring some equipment to sweep the chimney themselves, you can certainly do it, but there are types of fireplaces where there's specific equipment you want to use. On a masonry chimney, you can use more abrasive metal types of brushes and rods. On factory-built fireplaces, for you folks that have newer homes in subdivisions where you don't have a masonry chimney, you've got to use specific non-abrasive cleaning heads, stuff that's nylon. If it's any metal, you're going to damage the fireplace appliance you have. So things like that I need to look out for. Obviously, you should probably opt for saving your money on all those alternatives and actually putting it towards a professional coming out and getting the job done and giving you that peace of mind, and that way we can take the responsibility instead of you having to worry about it.